We are live. It is Wednesday here on the Rich Lieberman Bay Area Media Pulse. And we talk about a lot of things. We talk about people, we talk about various transactions, we give opinions. I give opinions. The hell with the we. And sometimes I get controversial, not because I want to stir up the pot, so to speak. I want to give you honesty. I want to give you what I think is something that, in order to be really, really apt and to be truthful, you say what's on your mind. You're not beholden to interests or advertisers or things of that nature. And today, I want to go into detail. Never met this guy. I spoke to him on the phone probably about 10 years ago. And many people at KTVU have told me that Bill Martin, who is their longtime weather anchor, is a kiss ass. And I kind of know that Bill Martin is a kiss ass. A kiss ass would be somebody who kisses ass mainly to management and who plays the game and kind of adapts to the corporate style and will not go out of his way to do what would be, I don't know, creative, forceful. And as he or she becomes less useful later in their career, still does a lot of ass kissing. And various people some of most of whom you've never heard of. They're behind the scenes people. There's some on-air folks who have told me, I'm not going to quote them because I've tried to, some of them are not even there anymore at the station, have told me that Bill Martin is a certifiable kiss ass. And he doesn't have to be a kiss ass because he's been there, almost 30 years. And as I guess, a professional ass kisser, he is continuing to mumble and stumble his words. But they keep him at KTVU, the Fox people, the firm, because he does do lots of kiss assing and ass kissing, I guess I should say. And I wondered aloud why Bill Martin is doing this ass kissing. And I think a lot of it comes down to when you reach a certain part of your career, and let's face it, he anchors the weather. And I've heard him do little various bits on other Bay Area media. He may even have a show on YouTube where he continues to kiss a lot of ass. And therefore, he likes to have his own set of ways and means, if you will, while he kisses ass, even though he doesn't really have to kiss ass on KTVU, but apparently he does a lot of that and isn't called out because, what's there to call out? He anchors the weather and he mumbles and he stumbles and all that kind of stuff. But when you have very limited resources, apparently at KTVU, when the people who work there, especially those behind the scenes, do a lot of, shall we say, gossipy stuff or nitpicking, if you will. Maybe not even nitpicking. They talk about all the ill stuff taking place at KTVU. I mentioned this before. They go across the street where KTVU is located. There's this big condo, and they have this garage area where a lot of them smoke cigarettes and they talk about the crap that is currently taking place and has been for years now at KTVU, where they have no leadership, where they have no missive, where they have no apparent plans for the future, because all of this ass kissing, amongst their other problems that takes place, is so there. It's so ingrained. It's so pronounced. And one of the chief ass kissers on that end is Martin himself, Bill Martin. And a couple of years ago, and I wrote about this on the blog, Martin was set to retire. They were going to give him a farewell and do all the little ass kissing things they normally do with the various people who have left recently. Marky Banyas, the other day, Julie Hayner, Dennis Richmond, when he actually was, this functional about what, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And Martin hesitated. And as Fox told him, KTVU, that they hadn't found a suitable replacement, even though, it's just what, anchoring the weather, but he was still on the air and they hadn't found somebody. So he decided to stay on and do more ass kissing, essentially. What did he also do? He was instrumental in the hiring of the one and only Roberta Gonzalez. It was Martin. Why? Because Martin figured, all right, I'm here. I'm not going to retire. Actually, it's kind of cool. I can do my own thing. I can leave the studio when I'm done doing the early evening 6 o'clock weather forecast. And I can go home, literally drive through Contra Costa County to my hometown, eat some dinner, mess around, have some fun, and come back in time to do the 10 o'clock news, which is fine. But in order to be able to do all that, you have to have a cohesive relationship with management, whatever that constitutes itself as these days. So Martin, which is part of his kiss ass routine, got a lot of power, or whatever you constitute as power, at KTVU. And why did he hire, or was he very much instrumental in the hiring of Roberta Gonzalez? Because he understood that Roberta is kind of limited today, so to speak, if you know what I mean. So, what does that do for Martin? It elevates his presence, even though Martin himself wanted to retire a few years back. He was instrumental, his voice, in the powers that be at KTVU. They said, well, we really need a backup, Bill. Who they hire? Elvira herself, Roberta Gonzalez. And, so one thing leads to another and all that. And look, Martin used to be okay, used to be adequate, but lately, at least the last 4 or 5 years, he mumbles or he'll do these sit downs. They did the thing with Hayner the other night. And they had everybody come up on the set, including Martin, including Dorky Mike Meback, another ass kisser, by the way. Hayner, who was retiring. They brought up Marky Banyas. And there was the one at the end, I'll never forget, on the, what was it, the right? Yeah, the right side there was Martin himself. And what did he do? Basically just sat there, touched hands with various people, didn't say much. And, Richmond is sitting there across from him. And he looked, it was as if you were watching some kind of a broadcast treasure that Martin apparently thinks of himself as. Anyway, he did a lot of, shall we say, visual ass kissing on the set. Now, look, I don't have any acts to pick with Martin. I just hate it when people who are so visibly transparent. And this is a classic case of what happens when you let somebody stay on the air way past his prime. But, here's the consequences. So I wanted to point that out. It had to be pointed out. And look, Bill, you were great. About 10 years ago, you were great. And now you're just kind of in that vein where, you got to feed the family. You're getting close to being shoved out the door, and they'll give you a little victory parade. And you're going to be remembered by the fact that you were an ass kisser, at least the real deal, not the bullshit, right? You were never anywhere close to being Pete Giddings. You were never, ever as nice, apparently, what I'm told, as like a Joel Bartlett, right? Or people like that, go down the list of various people who anchored weather in Bay Area television. You know, Pete Giddings wasn't very nice to few people, but at least he was cogent. He had really watchable weather forecasts. Same thing with Joel Bartlett, who just the opposite was very, very nice, was very cool, and not an ass kisser. What an amazing concept. So I just thought I'd bring that out today and, you know, let you guys think about those things. And, the rest is history.